T, you've returned.
It's good to be here.
No one's going to know who you are at this point.
That's true. I'm kind of becoming that long-lost side character that no one cares about.
That's okay. I'm happy you're here.
Thank you.
Today we're taking a look at the DCAU. I think you and I have talked ad nauseum together behind the scenes about how we wish this universe would come back. You know, we kind of both find every new universe they do since the end of the DCAU more disappointing.
And it just kind of builds over and over again. And then even, I just read today, James Gunn was asked about the 97, X-Men series coming back. He's like, well, what about Unlimited? What if we did that? And he's like, I don't think so. That's not happening now.
And it's frustrating to me because, I get the argument is always, well, Kevin Conroy passed. And it's like, yeah, but that, for years when he was around, you did nothing with it.
Right.
And he was more than willing to do stuff with it. And then, I mean, I know this could get in a whole debate. The whole reason we're talking about this today is because the DCAU does kind of live on, in a way, through the Tomorrowverse. Now, this is a universe of DC movies I've personally found a bit disappointing. I mean, when you have movies like Green Lantern, Beware My Power, and it basically just kind of is a weird potluck hot dish of multiple Green Lanterns, and they just throw their story elements onto Jon Stewart and call it a day. Just a lot of stuff in this universe is frustrating me. Jensen Ackles does a great job as Batman in this.
He's fantastic, yeah.
He's like the shining, like the peak of it to me.
I will say, The Long Halloween Part 1 and 2 was good.
Yeah.
I did like that a lot.
And you know what? Man of Tomorrow was fun.
It was a fine movie.
So there's fun stuff in this. It's just, it's unfortunate to kind of see that this universe is ending very soon. Actually, with Part 3 of Crisis on Infinite Earths.
Especially after DCAMU just recently ended too, by the way.
Yeah.
With, what was that?
Apocalypse War.
That's right.
A few years ago, yeah.
Yes, just ended. Sorry, I interrupted you again.
No.
It just happened again.
No, I totally get it. It's just, and that was almost like 5 years ago now, I think. But it doesn't feel like it was.
It's insane.
But these universes are going quicker and quicker. But a lot of people have kind of looked back at the DCAU and said, hey, it's really a shame that we can't see these characters again. People asking for things like a JLU revival, people asking for things, even without Kevin Conroy, like, why don't we see more of Batman Beyond? Maybe set post-epilogue, when maybe Bruce isn't around anymore. But these characters are kind of back in Crisis on Infinite Earths because Will Friedle actually just voiced, unfortunately not with a lot of lines, the DCAU version of Batman Beyond in Crisis on Infinite Earths Part 2. And if that wasn't exciting enough, even though I wish he was in the movie more, I think there's a piece of news that you were very, very excited about regarding Part 3, some reports by IGN, and just a tragic passing that did happen last year.
Yes, yeah, and honestly, it was almost bittersweet reading this headline, but it was that Kevin Conroy's Batman and Mark Hamill's Joker are going to appear together one final time in Crisis on Infinite Earths Part 3. So that's, obviously, we don't know the extent of what the dialogue will look like. Honestly, I'm expecting something similar to what Will Friedle got, just probably a couple of throwaway lines that are just kind of fun. And I imagine that obviously they didn't know that this would be the last time that they would
yeah, because they do a lot of these voice lines way ahead of time.
Right. So I mean, I think it's still going to be unbelievably special to see that one more time. It's something where I saw it and it was immediate elation, but it also made me sad that this is the last time that we get to see this.
I will say, coming off the heels of Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, I personally, knowing where the DCAU Batman ends up, knowing where canonically he has to end up, and knowing what you can't really do to him in this movie compared to that game, I don't think that I could be happier that we're getting a different send-off to such a legendary voice actor of Batman, and, by the way, a legendary voice actor for Joker, because even though Mark didn't pass, he does not have any interest in reprising the role without Kevin around.
Right, which makes sense, and that was one of the first things that he tweeted, right, was that crime has no punchline without Batman. It's not going to be the same.
They even asked him in an interview, they said, do you want to do it more? And he said, no, for the longest time, I don't know the exact line, I might be able to find it, but he basically said, for the longest time, they'd call me up and they'd say, Mark, you want to be Joker? And I'd say, is Kevin doing it?
Yeah.
And if they said no, I'd say pass. And if they said yes, I'd say count me in, because Kevin, was always the Batman to his Joker.
Yeah.
And that's something that I think is really special about this. Like, I don't want to overshadow Will coming back, because I've wanted Will back for years. I think especially with not getting into how Epilogue ends for the character, I think that there are plenty of places you could take Beyond as a era, bringing back Tim Daly as Superman in like a Superman Beyond show, bringing back the Justice League Beyond lineup, bringing back Batman Beyond when he's older. There's a lot of futures you could do in a time where Bruce sadly would have passed of old age anyway.
Right.
There's also the argument of, which we maybe could talk about in the future in a should the DCAU come back. There's also arguments of like, I personally, not to speak for the deceased, I never took Kevin Conroy as the kind of guy who had this sort of ownership over the character that he felt other voice actors weren't welcome. Like, I've never seen anything from him where he's like, I only got to be Batman, get out of here. He was very gracious, very giving man. He was very open to what was best for the character. It's unfortunate though, where it's something like, I do think WB missed a lot of opportunities around that character, around their most solid on-screen, I would say, established universe. Out of all of them, that was probably the best received out of all of them, even including live action. He passed, and now you are left with questions of, should we ever revisit that version? Should we not? Would it be distasteful? Would it not? Should we go back to that universe and do something with other characters and just not touch Batman? Should we leave it alone? Because, you know, you had Batman and Harley Quinn, and that was kind of a disaster, you know? But then you had the Fatal Five, and that was pretty good.
I was gonna say, they added those two as almost like, it felt like a tease. Like,
yeah.
Just kind of like, here's a little something, but like, we're not diving fully back in and giving you a full season of something. And
yeah, I thought that, you know, maybe they would do occasionally just a limited release movie.
Yeah.
And it just kind of fizzled out after Fatal Five, which I personally think was pretty good. But again, Kevin was around for that.
Right.
And now he's not, which is really sad. And that universe, though, is also bigger than just Batman. You know, it started with Batman and it ended with a different Batman in a way, but it was still a lot of characters.
Yes.
It's such a bittersweet thing to me. And again, I think we could talk about, maybe in the future, if you'd want to be in a video like this, like ideas for where the DCAU could go if they ever did want to bring it back.
For sure.
I know it's a debate of should you touch Bruce Wayne or not as a character, but overall, to see for sure Kevin coming back one more time, Will coming back one more time, Mark coming back one more time. I guess Will twice, because he's supposedly going to be in part 3 as well.
Awesome. Yeah.
That's really special to me, because these are the versions of the characters I grew up with that I would say, along with shows like Smallville, and along with, you know, the Raimi Spider-Man movies and stuff, I'd say these versions of characters were probably responsible for me caring about superheroes at all, ever. In general.
Yeah.
So to see that now, you know, going into, like, I'm going to be 30 this year, it's kind of nuts.
It's crazy. And I think for me, like, it's, to your point too, going back just a little bit to what you had said earlier, the send-off that we got of Kevin in Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League was such a bummer. And such, I even asked people who weren't nearly the fans of Batman or even of Kevin Conroy, like, they just, you know, weren't as familiar with it, but had heard about what they did to Batman in that game because they had played the Arkham games and were just more casual about it, and they're like, that's terrible. Like, that's obviously, that's, what are we doing? That's terrible. So for people who, I guess, my point with that being is, that is universally, objectively terrible, what they did there.
Yeah.
And
very few people really like what they did with that game.
I hate specifically with Batman. The game is a whole nother package of insanity.
True.
But they, like, that specific moment is really, really bad. And I think giving him another, like, having this as a send-off where we can actually enjoy him just being Batman, hopefully have a good interaction between him and Joker like they always do, and that's the send-off, I think that'll feel way more poetic and just, I think it'll just feel better overall for everybody.
I also think it would be really nice to, I know we've seen this kind of thing before with time shenanigans, it would be nice to get some kind of little interaction as well, I hope, who knows, between Will and Kevin.
Yeah.
Because they work together very well, you know, in Batman Beyond, and I'm sure that, you know, not to speak for Will, but I'm sure that that's got to be hard for someone like him too, you know, who worked very closely with Kevin Conroy, and now their characters are going to share the screen one last time in some way or another, and they're both from that same universe but at a different time, and you have to ask yourself, okay, well, you know, what's going to happen with that? Right. If anything, who knows? Because they didn't know, you know, nobody knew, and nobody knows when anyone's going to pass, sadly, and the lives of people are obviously bigger than the roles they play, but those roles are, I think, the things from their lives that I would say touch and impact so many people that don't even personally know them. You know, you had the pleasure of meeting Kevin for a couple minutes one time at a signing, and I mean, you can talk about that for a minute if you want to. I know we brought it up before, but, like, I never got to meet him, but, you know, you said he was a very gracious, nice person when you met him, and you know, that had an impact on you just because you grew up with that version of the character, just for like meeting him for like 2 minutes.
Right.
I think that's kind of nuts.
It's crazy. It's something where, like I said, I mean, there wasn't a whole lot to it. Just got to go up and meet him, just a quick signing. Obviously, there's a huge line, so it's a, hey, how you doing?
You didn't hold up the line.
No,
this is my moment to meet my hero. You stand back.
Yeah, hold on a second. Yeah. No, I
didn't go like, stand back, fool! I've got a bomb. You can't quote Joker lines at the con. Yeah, that's probably not a good idea.
I should've.
You also can't go with, I'd be happy to drop my pants.
Such a blown opportunity.
Yeah.
But no, he was so gracious, like you said. He was so kind, and smile on his face, and he's been dealing with people all day. And he just really loved interacting with the fans. So then to be able to see him, meet him in person, like, he was just such a warm, kind person to be around, and that was just 2 minutes to talk to him and have a warm, a quick interaction with him. So with this, it's really just, I guess, a nice way to finally, like, it feels like closure, I guess, for the fan. I feel like for the fans, like official closure. Like, it was obviously a very unexpected passing for him. So for this to have like a little bit of build up, and we have some knowledge going into that film, knowing that he's going to show up, we can look forward to that throughout the movie. Then when it happens, it's going to be kind of like a, so long old friend, I guess, So like that's really cool.
And I really don't think that this is false information. I know that, it was broken by IGN, supposedly, and then it was talked again about by IGN, and when they reached out to Mark Hamill's, representatives and people, nobody said anything. WB didn't say anything. I'm pretty sure, though, with Kevin Conroy, like the most legendary version of Batman passing, if this was not true, you would be the biggest, most brain-dead, dumbass company, now I know we're talking about WB, to not get ahead of that.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that they would tell, even if they're not confirming it, it would be really stupid to not deny it.
No.
If it was false.
It makes me feel better that IGN put their name behind it too a little bit. It's a bigger source. It's not something that we just found on Twitter. It's
right.
Like, this is something that was published by IGN. You may have your thoughts about IGN, but that at least makes me feel a little bit better.
Yeah, they're at least staking the scraps left they have of reputation on the story.
Right. Yeah, so we'll take that, I guess. But yeah, so something to look forward to. Yeah,
so, and we'll probably talk about it again, when it's actually out, and talk some more about the DCAU as well. But T, thanks for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
If you enjoyed today's video, please be sure to leave a like, subscribe for more content. We'll see you in the next one. Links to all of our other channels are in the description down below, like JayRPG, where we cover RPG games, do videos about that. Magical Jill, we've been making anime videos on, and collectibles. And of course, as well, Degenerate Plays, where we play through games together. If you want to help support this channel, we have a channel membership feature. We do have a Patreon link down below. And of course, as well, we do have our own exclusive store, CosmoBunny.shop, where you can use code DJAY123 for 10% off your first purchase. And that same code also works on Fortnite as a support a creator code. So we appreciate you. Hope to see you on one of those things. Have a fantastic day. And as always, everyone, stay shway.